Good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. And of course, I will tell you who's coming up on the show here as this live stream progresses. Here in my part of the world, it is an absolutely beautiful morning, as it has been for the last several days. We've had some great weather lately, haven't we? And I hope you get a chance to take advantage of it. Cliff, good morning. Bruce, good morning. Tim, look forward to seeing you and Jen at our Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in just over a month now. It is Wednesday night, September 18th at the Lumberjack in West Branch. Good morning, Craig. How you doing, buddy? Always. Hey, Craig, what did you think of that prototype of the Angler Quest? I saw your comment. Yeah, your Angler Quest is beautiful, as is the one that I'm running. But that prototype, I like some of the things they've done. That workstation in the back looks pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that boat up here on Saginaw Bay. Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer. Johnny, keep sending those pictures. You're driving me crazy, buddy. I look forward to hunting with you September 25th. Johnny, people are saying, oh, that third hunt is a tough hunt. Well, not if you're hunting with the Bear Whisperer, Johnny Bowler. And Johnny will join us on the radio show next week. Not this week, but next. Jerry, how are things in Algonac? Jim, hey, Jim, I followed up. I like the email you sent me, but I just followed up with a private picture between you and me. We're not sharing it publicly. And I think you'll enjoy that as well. Ross Elliott, one of the good guys on the face of the earth. Nice to have you along with us, buddy. He says the new AQ is awesome. It is awesome. Mike, appreciate you joining us. Uncle Johnny, how are you, my brother, my friend? Look forward to seeing you and Aunt Debbie this weekend. John, thanks for joining us on this edition of Behind the Mic. My name is Mike Avery. God morning to you as well. My name is Mike Avery. This is a little thing I call Behind the Mic because I am behind the mic. I'm actually here behind two microphones. People say, why? This one, the social media mic that you're listening to me on right now, and this one, my professional broadcast mic that I will use here in just a few minutes. Ross says, hey, Mike, I thought you'd be up here in Canada. I'm not. I obviously did not go north for the Canada hunt this year, the first time in several years that I've missed it. And I am jonesing. I will admit, I am jonesing. Didn't go up there for a couple of reasons, including the fact that Monday I get cataract surgery on this eye right here. And actually looking forward to that. Danny, good morning. How are you? Tony's going to join us in West Branch. Tony, I will look forward to it. He's talking about the Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack on September 18th. Johnny will be in Escanaba tonight. Bill, good morning. How are you? And even with the cataract surgery, I would have gone to Ontario if I didn't have a Michigan tag. But I do have a Michigan tag for the third season. Starts September 25th. Now that's traditionally kind of a tough season. If I wasn't hunting with Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer, I would be nervous about it. But Johnny's been baiting bears and bringing bears in for what, 30, 35 years, Johnny? So he knows what he's doing. So do I, Jim. So do I. Jim Ward, good morning. Pastor, how are you this morning? Pastor Joe, always a pleasure. Joe, I know I asked you this before, but forgive me for not remembering. Did you get a Michigan bear tag this year? Good morning, Gene. My son got invited to accompany a hunter on a bear hunt. Any requirements to be in the blind with somebody during a bear hunt? Good question, Tim. My recollection is if you are a participant in the blind, you are actively hunting. Though you don't have to have a license, you would have to wear hunter orange or whatever is required. But obviously, you don't have to be licensed. Good morning, William. How are you? So the weather has been nice. Johnny says, go ahead and tell him about the bear. Johnny set up a new bait station yesterday. And by the time he got back to the truck, there was a notification on his phone that a bear had come into the bait. It took 6 minutes from the time Johnny started the bait till a bear showed up on the bait. It took 6 minutes. Now, it's not a big bear, but 6 minutes. How cool is that? Joe's about 5 or 6 years away. Okay. Josh Mapes, good morning, buddy. How are you? Art, come in and say hi. It wouldn't be a Behind the Mic if you didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, Art Lewis.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
Have you caught fish or lost golf balls?
both. Actually, both. I fished last Thursday. Going to be my last trip of the season. I'll tell you about that. Why about that? And then I played golf with my grandkids Monday morning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was nice.
Very good.
It was nice.
Very good.
So I've done both of my passions this summer, Art.
I'm going up to Rapid River in 2 weeks. I'll say hi for you.
Say hi to the folks up there. I'd
I will.
appreciate it. Art got himself a new Rapid River knife, and it is a beauty, as are all of the Rapid River knives. Josh, I enjoyed your picture of those 2 yotes the other night. Very cool picture. I was just looking at my Brenton 350 Legend yesterday. I ordered a new scope for it. I'm getting a Vortex Crossfire 2. I wanted to get a 3x9x40. I ended up with a 3x9x50, which is fine. I'm going to put that scope on. I'm going to sight it in with the suppressor. And Johnny, that is what I'm going to use for my bear hunt. For the first time of all the bears I've ever killed, all of them have been with a bow. This one is going to be with a gun. So it's the first, if I take a bear, it will be the first bear I have ever harvested with a gun. So it'll be a Michigan bear, my first one, with a Michigan gun. See you next month at the dinner. Excellent, Jay. I will look forward to that. He's talking about the Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack. All right, Johnny, have a good day, buddy. Tim, I love those Crossfire scopes too. It's hard to beat a Vortex, especially for the price. So I was telling Art, I did get out fishing. I got out fishing last Thursday, and it was a solo trip. And in my mind, it was a solo trip probably to wrap up the season. It was an exploration trip. I was exploring to see if there were any fish yet up in that skinny water, because if there were fish there, I could catch them. I got to be honest with you. Couldn't get anything in there, though. So I went out deep, struggled, caught one fish, which was a reaffirmation of my suspicion that my season for Saginaw Bay walleye is over. And it is. But it was a good year. Jerry, always a pleasure to have you along with us. Chris, Grand Rapids, heading to Seney to see Johnny Bowler bringing up some bear bait. Say hi to Johnny for me. Brent, good morning, buddy. How are you? Did you get your fall turkey tag? They announced them. I don't think it's a big deal, because I think if you applied for a fall turkey tag, you were just about guaranteed. And I don't know if they have any leftover tags. I would suspect they do. I do not intend on targeting turkeys this fall, but I thought, you know what? If you're in the woods anyway, why not have a turkey tag in your pocket? Joe says, give up the fishing, Mike. It's almost early goose season. I am not a goose hunter, although I would welcome anybody to come into my backyard and shoot them all, though it's not legal, so we can't legally do it because I'm just in the city. What caliber Brenton? I'm going to use my 350. I got the Brenton 350 because I thought it was a good all-around versatile cartridge. I could use it for bears. I could use it for deer, and probably just about anything else. Scott says, fall fishing is coming. Stay the course. Keep the boat ready. Scott, we talk about this every year. Every year I say I'm going to fish in the fall, and every year I don't. What traditionally happens is it gets to be early August. I'm getting ready for my Ontario bear hunt, and I never fish again. And then it gets to be October, and it's like, why didn't I pull the boat in September? So listen, experience has taught me. I know that there is good fishing out there. I know there are big fish out there in the fall, but I won't be taking my Angler Quest out. But I will tell you this, Scott, because you've offered, if I get jonesing to go walleye fishing this fall for big fish, I'm going to call you. Gary, good morning. How are you? Well, cicadas are buzzing like crazy, right? They're buzzing like crazy across the state now. Have you noticed some of the maples are starting to turn? Now, what's up with that? Because we know scientifically that trees change their color, the leaves change their color based on the the light levels, right? So why are some of them starting to turn? I'm seeing a significant number of them turn. It's not from drought. We haven't been in drought conditions. John says jumbos are biting on Lake Erie around South Bass Island. Good morning to you, John. Jumbos. Jumbo perch will always get people's attention. Tim says it seems about a month early. It does. Good morning, Randy. I am Murray. How are you? Randy, I was just saying that I think my summertime Saginaw Bay walleye fishing is done. It's done for the season. Traditionally, things slow down for me in August. I made that trip out there last week that I was talking to you about. I could only scrape up one fish. It's getting tough out there unless you go north to that cold, clear, deep water, and I'm not going to make that run. Uncle Johnny says, Robert, good morning. Uncle Johnny says, golfing in Augrey yesterday, several trees has started to turn color already. John, when I heard that you guys were up north golfing, I was so happy for you guys. So happy for you. I did golf with Addison and Carter Monday morning. We played, I'm done. We played Sandy Ridge, and Addison, who you know very well, who is golfing left-handed so she doesn't screw up her softball swing. I think this is the third round that Addison had played golf left-handed, and she parred number 9 at Sandy Ridge. She drove it just short of the green. She chipped it up, and she putted in for a par. How cool is that? Michael, good morning. How are you? So, no, I think I'm done fishing. Jonesing to get back on the golf course again. Going to put a new scope on the Brenton, sight that in with that suppressor, and be ready for my fall bear hunt. Have you seen the Northern Lights? I did not. The other night, I actually was looking for them. Didn't see them that night. I understand the night before and a couple nights before they put on quite a display. I did not see them. Did you see the Angler Quest prototype? The pictures of that I posted online. Looking pretty darned cool. Following up on other things, we're going to have another Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack restaurant. She's an athlete. She's good at whatever she does. And she was pretty proud, and I was pretty proud of her too. And Carter played very well also. And I had some shots that I was pretty happy with too. I am adjusting to those new clubs, feeling very confident with them. My hybrid, my 3-wood driver still sucks, but everything else is coming around. Tim says, what's the difference between a 350 and the 450? Caliber size, for one thing. The 450 is considerably bigger. There is more recoil, but it hits harder. The 350, smaller, less recoil, doesn't quite as hard. But I think it's a good all-around cartridge. Now, the one that has my attention now is the 41 Great Lakes, which is being developed in southern Michigan. Gabe Van Wormer, Mike's brother, Mike is on here right now. Mike Van Wormer's brother Gabe has been doing some extensive testing with that. That 41 Great Lakes looks. If I was going to get a new AR-style gun, I would try to get one chambered in 41 Great Lakes. I got to be honest with you. John says everything is early this year. Really, the trees that turn this soon, if you follow them the next couple of years, they'll die off. Something seems to be wrong with them. Excellent. Captain Mark Pananzak. Good morning, buddy. Heading in for a quick scope of the knee in 45 minutes. When I saw you at the outing, you had a bandage on the knee. I hope that turns out well for you. Also, Mark, question for you. Is your walleye season on Inner Saginaw Bay done for the year, done for the season? Mine is. I did a solo trip last Thursday, and I could only scrape up one fish. So that told me it's time for me to be moving on to other things. What about you, Mark? Or are you starting to get ready for the early goose season? Mike Van Wormer says he shot it, the 41 Great Lakes, and said it's the best caliber he's ever used in his opinion. And that's pretty much what Gabe is saying. That 41 Great Lakes has the recoil of what, Mike? A 243 and hits like a 30-06? How would you describe it? Kevin, good morning. How are you? Any news on the Angler Quest Tri-Tunes? Where did Brad move to? Yeah, lots of news on him. I posted prototype pictures of the Angler Quest on my Facebook page a couple of days ago. If you scroll down, John, you can see those pictures. I'm not going to go into detail where Brad is producing him. That's his story to tell. But there's a lot of excitement around it, and he's working with some very, very good people. Mark, it is done for him because he's moving on to Goose and Duck back at Saginaw Bay in late November. Yes. Yes. I spoke at a Bay City Rotary meeting yesterday at noon, Mark, and I talked with a guy who fished with you, and he spoke very highly of you. And I echoed his comments. I speak very highly of you as well. John says, what grain bullets are you using for that bear hunt? 155? I got to double check, Jim. I'm going to, like I say, I'm putting a new scope. I'm putting a 3x9x50 because the 3x9x40 wasn't available. Putting a 3x9x50 on that gun because the Leupold 1x whatever I had on there just wasn't cutting it. I'm putting that new Vortex scope on it, and then I'm going to sight it in with my suppressor. And then I'm going to be paying more attention to that type of stuff. Really, it's been kind of not on my radar until right now. Mitchell, good morning. Beautiful weather in Michigan the last few days. Absolutely, it has been, Scott. Some rain coming in tomorrow, but that's all right. We could use some rain. Mike, and he's the guy who shot this. I have not. He says, correct. Less recoil and hits it hard at range. He shot a doe last year head on and could put his fist in her with fragmented bullets. We switched to more solids, had much better luck. Yeah, the 41 Great Lakes is a very exciting cartridge, and it's being developed, was developed right here in Michigan, hence the title, 41 Great Lakes. Let me tell you who's coming up on the show this week here before I run out of time because I'm shooting the breeze. Adam Lewis is my first guest this week from Deer IQ. I talked to Adam about a couple of things. Number one, he's fascinated by the Rampolla buck like most people are. But he took it one step further. He went to Mitch's house and knocked on his door to try to get an interview. Details on that during the radio show. Also, we talked to Adam about getting ready for the fall deer hunting season, specifically the use of trail cameras. Then Paul Perrone of VersaSkins joined me. Some exciting things going on behind the scenes at VersaSkins. In hour number 2, Scott Hand. Rich Krizan of Killer Food Plots talks about putting in your fall plots. Then Jeremiah Blau from the DNR on their hatchery system. This week's Ask Avery segment, a question, deals with the question of, can I listen to your radio show in the Metro Detroit area? And why or why not? And in our third hour, Lance Valentine. Lance said, Avery, I want to have the definitive discussion on forward-facing sonar. I said, let's do it. Lance is also recovering, Mark Pananzak, from knee surgery right now. And then, of course, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire, Dixie Dave Miner. Billy says, yeah, our crops are about 2.5 weeks early, going to be an early fall, early winter. John, are you using a crossbow or a gun for your bear hunt? I have decided, John, to use my Brenton 350 Legend gun. I've taken a lot of bears. Every one of them has been with a bow, either a recurve, a compound, or a crossbow. And it just seems fitting and appropriate. And I've never killed a Michigan bear yet. I've had opportunities, but I've passed. I'm not going to pass this year. Respectable bear walks in front of me, and I'm going to shoot him. And it just seemed appropriate that if I was going to shoot a Michigan bear, my first Michigan bear, I would use a Michigan-made gun to do it. That Brenton 350 Legend. The Brenton was made in Lansing. So I'm going to use my Brenton. All right, I actually posed this question privately to Richard P. Smith, but I'm going to acknowledge my ignorance here. Since I've never killed a bear with a gun, only a bow, I reached out to Richard, and I'm reaching out to you. Where do you shoot a bear with a gun? Do you shoot it behind the shoulder like you would with a bow, or do you try to break the shoulder down? Now, that 350 might be a little light to break the shoulder down on a big bear. 60 seconds. So I'm posing the question to you. Should I aim on a bear behind the shoulder like you would with an archery shot, or should I aim for a shoulder shot? The range will be about 50 yards. It'll be up close and personal. Mike Van Warmer, you would know the answer to this. What should I do? I don't know. I have my suspicions, and by the time we get up there, I will certainly know for sure. But what do you think? Oh, I got a bunch of extra clocks in here I got to get rid of. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, my friends. I got to go here in just a minute. Right behind the leg. Craig says right behind the leg. Right where I'd shoot him with a bow, right, Craig? 4, 3, 2, 1. Countless videos. Lung and heart shot is the best. Okay. So not a shoulder shot. Lung and heart. Basically, guys, you're telling me the same place I would shoot it with a bow is where I should shoot it with my gun, which I feel very comfortable with that shot. That's where I'd like to do it. So I appreciate the insight. Okay. You know the routine. I got to switch gears here from the live feed to the radio show. I will be back tonight for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Don't forget about our Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch coming up Wednesday, September 18th. Call 989-343-0892 for reservations. 989-343-0892. Have a good day, my friends. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan, and glad to have you along with us. How have you been? What have you done since we last talked? Have you had a chance to do anything fun? Any outdoor adventures you were able to sneak in with your busy work schedule, your busy schedule with the kids and the grandkids? And you know, in many school districts across the state, kids are going back to school this week coming up. Where did the summer go? I've been telling you about this. I've been telling you for weeks that summer season is rapidly coming to an end. Don't let it slip by without you taking advantage of it. Did you listen to me? Did you? I hope you did. I hope you did. I took my own advice. I got out on Saginaw Bay, a solo trip on my beloved angler quest. Now, traditionally for me, my summertime Saginaw Bay walleye fishing season comes to an end with the month of August. Usually, by the time August rolls around, I am getting ready for an Ontario bear hunt. And that coincides very well with the fact that the inner Saginaw Bay walleye fishery really dies off in August. Can you catch fish out there in August? Absolutely. Can you have great trips out there in August? Absolutely. Usually, though, you've got to go a little deeper, a little colder water, a little, away from the warmer, skinny water that I love so much. Now, I didn't go to Ontario this year for a bear hunt. Couple of reasons, including the fact that I actually have a Michigan tag this year, and I will be bear hunting in the UP in September. So that combined with some other things made me decide, you know what, I'm going to pass on the Ontario hunt this year. But I did make that trip out on Saginaw Bay last week, a solo trip on the Angler Quest. I thought, I just want to go out there by myself. I just want to relax. I want to light a cigar and see what I can find. I wanted to go out there and see if I could find fish in that skinny water that I love so much. And I said on Wednesday Night Live before going out there, I said, if there are fish in the skinny water, I will catch them. I feel very confident, very, very comfortable in that shallow water. Couldn't get anything going, which is kind of what I suspected would be the case. So I thought, well, let's go out deep. So I picked up and I started to run out deep, and I hit about 14 feet of water and started to mark a bunch of fish. So what's the saying? Don't leave fish. Don't run over fish to find fish. I'm marking fish here in 14 feet of water. I should fish this 14 feet of water. So I set lines out. Couldn't get those fish to go. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to keep trolling out to deeper water and see what I can find. I got all the way out to 22 feet of water. Could not get a fish. Marking a few of them, marking them high and low. I thought, all right, maybe, this indeed does prove that my fishing season is probably over. I turned around and said, I'm just going to troll back into the skinny water and call it a day. Oh, I got back into about 14 feet of water. I had 3 lines out. And let me tell you what, it drove me crazy just to troll with 3 rods. That's all I am legally allowed. But again, I'm asking myself, why? What is the reason to have a limit on the number of rods a Great Lakes trolling angler can use? I think because it's the law. Give me a reason why that's the law. Are you worried about protecting the resource? Size limits and creel limits protect the resource. Doesn't matter how many rods you use to catch those fish. But I felt very limited by only trolling three lines, right? Because I'm used to being out there with 8, 10, 12. I've run 14 rods off the Angler Quest. I'm used to being able to put out a pretty good spread and figure out what's going on. You can find out what's going on a lot quicker with 10 rods than you can with 3. Anyway, I thought my shallow baits aren't doing anything. I've tried bouncing spoons off the bottom. That isn't working. What I'm going to do, all right, I'm going to do something I don't like to do. I'm going to put out a real long lead. Now, for me, this is real long. I had one of those PWC lights, the precise walleye cranks that the Romanex came out with. It's either Bill Norman or Bill Lewis. I can never remember which. I put that on an outside, and I put it 85 feet back, which would have been just about scraping the bottom. Finally, flag goes down. Board goes back. I thought, oh, this looks like a walleye bite. It doesn't look like a catfish. It doesn't look like a pike. It doesn't look like a sheephead. I think it's a walleye. And indeed it was. I scraped up 1 fish that day. Turns out, talking with a lot of other friends, I wasn't alone. There wasn't, I don't know of any limit catches caught that day. I know of some charters that came in blanked. A buddy of mine got 4 or 5 fish, and that's the most I heard of anybody getting. So my point is, it's getting to be the time of year where it is indeed time for me to move on to other things. Those other things will include a little bit of deer hunting, bear hunting, turkey hunting. I don't plan to target turkeys, but I did get, I got a notification from the DNR. Avery, your application for a fall turkey tag was successful. And then I got thinking, I think everybody who applies for a fall turkey tag is successful. And then I think, well, if you didn't apply, can't you just go in and buy it over the counter? I don't know the answer to those questions, but I know that I will have a fall turkey tag in my pocket when I head out there, just in case a longbeard walks in front of me, because you know that is going to happen. Cicadas are buzzing like crazy. What does that mean? It means the end of the summer, early fall coming up. We've had this discussion. When the cicadas start to buzz, does that mean there's a correlation to when our first frost comes? I've seen some trees changing, particularly maples. Have you seen those? And it's not from drought conditions. Now, don't leaves change their color based on the length of daylight? So shouldn't that be the same year in and year out? So why, in my part of the world, am I seeing so many maples that are starting to turn already? I don't know the answer. If you do, please let me know. Send me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and let me know what the explanation is, because I'm very curious about this. Did you see the Northern Lights? I didn't. I just missed them. By the time I realized there were Northern Lights going on, the next night I went out there looking for them and couldn't find them. They were already done. But I hear I've seen pictures and video. For a couple of nights, it was really pretty spectacular, wonderful. Also, this past week, I've seen the first pictures of the prototype Angler Quest. Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis, is coming out with his new line of boats. If you want to see what it looks like, go to my Facebook page. Very cool, very promising. We should see that in the water very soon now. Congrats, Brad, and everybody he's working with on that project. What's coming up? Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch is slated, is scheduled, is locked in for Wednesday night, September 18th. I know. September 18th gets us into the hunting season, right? It's into the bear season. It's into the waterfowl season. It's into the small game season. I know. I get it. But I wasn't going to do it the week before September 11th. I wasn't going to have a celebration on 9/11, but we will have a celebration on 9/18. Love to have you join us. If you want to join us, you'll have to call for reservations. There is no fee. There is no reservation price. I'm not buying your dinner. You'll have to buy your own dinner, but it's pretty darn good food there at the Lumberjack. 989-343-0892 for reservations. Again, that's Wednesday, September 18th at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. A Wednesday night live. We go live at 7. Make your reservations for 5:30 or 6. Good food, good drink, good conversation, a lot of fun. 989-343-0892 for reservations. I hate giving out phone numbers, but it's 989-343-0892. If nobody answers, be patient. Stay on the line. A machine will pick up. Tell people your name, how many in your party, and a phone number where we can contact you to confirm those reservations. 989-343-0892. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show after the break, Adam Lewis of Deer IQ talks about being a better deer hunter. He also talks about using trail cameras, and he tells the story of knocking on Mitch Rompola's door to ask him about that potential world record buck from 25 years ago. Then Paul Perrone from Versa Skins. In hour number 2, we're talking food plots with Rich Kazan of Michigan-based Killer Food Plots. It is that time of year. Then Jeremiah Blau from the DNR on their hatchery system. An interesting program there. And our Ask Avery segment, our Ask Avery question this week. Avery, can I hear your radio show on a station in Detroit? We'll have the answer to that. And in hour number 3, Lance Valentine, he got a hold of me. He says, Mike, he says, I want to talk about forward-facing sonar. I said, let's do it. I said, Lance, can I build this as the definitive discussion of forward-facing sonar? He said, yep. I said, all right, Lance, you've got the airtime. Let's do it. And then we'll wrap up the show with wild game chef extraordinaire, Dixie Dave Miner. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website, it's also available as a podcast, by the way. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and my email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I would love to hear from you. Send me an email. Let me know what's on your mind. Give me the answer to why are the maples turning early this year or whatever else. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Hi, my friends. John Kirby, I see you sneak in there. John, how are you, buddy? Jerry. Where we go, Jerry? Dan. David, good morning. George, nice to hear from you. John Kirby, always a pleasure. Cliff. All right, my friends, have a good day. I will see you tonight, 7 o'clock, for another edition of Wednesday Night Live.